In the headlines of VTV News, the 13th Party Central Committee convenes the 9th session. Vietnam's rice exports to the Philippines soar. And later on in our world news, Russian President Vladimir Putin just arrived in Beijing to embark on a trip to China at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. The 9th session of the 13th Party Central Committee opened on Thursday at the Party Central Committee's headquarters. At this session, the committee will discuss preparing documents for submission to the 14th Party Congress, along with overall preparations for organizing the 14th Party Congress.
Addressing the session, General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong stated that the Socio-Economic Subcommittee and the Subcommittee on Documents have urgently and seriously prepared the draft outline of the Political Report, Socio-Economic Report, and Report on Party Building and Implementation of the Party Charter. The subcommittees will consult the Politburo, then submit their findings to the Party Central Committee for consideration and comments at this session.
Although it is only a draft outline, this is a crucial first step, guiding the quality preparation of documents to be submitted to the 14th Party Congress. We hope that the Central Committee will take the time to carefully study the documents, discuss, and comment on specific proposals stated in the draft report, especially the issues that need focused research and clarification during the document development process.
Regarding the preparation for the 14th National Party Congress, General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong stated that to unify direction, the Politburo needs to issue a specific directive.
I hereby urge all Party Central Committee members to focus on clarifying the purpose, requirements, and content of party congresses at all levels. The personnel work of provincial party committees must be ensured, especially the ratio of young officials, female officials, and ethnic officials from provincial and city party committees who will be present at the National Party Congress.
The 9th session's content is crucial for completing the political task of preparing documents for the 14th Party Congress. It also guides the preparation of party congresses at all levels, leading up to the 14th National Party Congress.
On May the 14th in Hanoi, Deputy Prime Minister Lee Minh-khai requested that relevant ministries and sectors assign officials to join a delegation to inspect the gold market and gold trading activities. This request was made during a meeting to discuss measures to manage the gold market. The State Bank must take responsibility for stabilizing the market and creating a level playing field to ensure the harmony of interest among stakeholders. In response to the Deputy Prime Minister's instruction to inspect the gold market, a representative from the State Bank of Vietnam stated that the bank has proposed the establishment of an intersectoral inspection delegation. This delegation would include representatives from the Ministry of Public Security, the Government Inspectorate, the Ministry of Industry and Trade, and the Ministry of Finance. An inspection decision is expected to be issued next week. The inspection will focus on identifying and strictly handling violations related to gold speculation and price manipulation. Deputy Prime Minister Lee Minh-khai demanded that an inspection decision be announced no later than the end of this week. In the first 4 months of this year, Baro Province has attracted more than $1.52 billion of newly registered foreign direct investment, making it the #1 province in the country for attracting foreign capital flows. This is a positive signal showing the attractiveness of the investment environment in Baro for foreign investors.
Long Son Petrochemical Complex, with a total investment of more than $5 billion, is one of the largest foreign investment projects in Vietnam and has chosen Baro Province to deploy construction on an area of 464 hectares.
Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu is a favorable place for us to build the Long Son Petrochemical Complex. In particular, the province always accompanies and shares difficulties with businesses during the investment and operation process.
Baro Province has regularly organized dialogues with businesses to handle difficulties and promote administrative procedures. Baro also established a special working group 997 to resolve problems for businesses and investors in the locality.
Working Group 997 has been a special working group for us to resolve individual and long-standing difficulties, hence, create trust between locality, businesses, and investors.
We are increasingly supporting businesses in registering business documents and procedures, and solving difficulties and problems in the most timely and effective way.
Baro Province is solidifying its image as a land rich in potential and promising for foreign direct investors. This is the condition for Baro to realize its goal of attracting over $2 billion in FDI capital this year.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade released the Vietnam Import-Export Report 2023 on Thursday in Hanoi. The 8th edition of the annual publication, running since 2016, provides an overview of import and export activities throughout the previous year by each item, specific markets and all state management activities, policies and mechanisms relating to imports and exports, as well as legal documents issued that year. The report featured new content including the origin of goods, the status of EVFTA, CPTPP, UKVFTA, and RCEP agreements implementation, and the execution of negotiations and trade promotion activities to directly support import-export businesses. 2023 was a challenging year for Vietnam's import and export sectors due to a decline in global economic growth. However, Vietnam's import-export results in 2023 demonstrated the government's determination, timeliness, and flexibility in direction and administration. The year's total import-export turnover reached $681.1 billion, and the trade balance of goods saw a surplus for the 8th consecutive year with a value of $28.3 billion. In the first 4 months of this year, Vietnam exported more than 3 million tons of rice. Nearly half of this total output was imported by the Philippines. Vietnamese rice is highly sought after by Filipino consumers, presenting many opportunities for Vietnamese rice businesses to continue promoting exports and maintaining their #1 position in rice exports to the Philippines.
Since the beginning of 2024, Vietnam's rice exports have shown a strong growth, reaching more than $2 million in export turnover in the first quarter. Notably, our country's rice exports to the Philippines have not only witnessed an increase in output, but also in value, with the average price reaching $642 per ton.
Vietnamese rice first offers products suitable for Philippines people's taste. Secondly, Vietnamese traders have invested in infrastructure, high-tech machinery, and equipment to serve the Philippine market.
Thailand and India are the world's 2 leading rice exporting countries. Currently, India is banning rice exports to ensure national food security, while Thailand only competes in the high-end rice segment. This is a good opportunity for Vietnamese rice to promote growth in this potential market.
Currently, Vietnam is the largest rice exporter to the Philippines, with an annual output of nearly 3 million tons. This is an important market. We can regulate based on supply and demand, as well as the quality of Vietnamese rice, to increase value and generate turnover.
This year, Vietnamese rice exports to the Philippines will exceed 4 million tons. Proactively adapting to new market methods and overcoming export barriers will be the best solutions for businesses to maintain a competitive advantage in the Philippines.
Since the start of the year, rice has shown a significant increase in export value. In the first 4 months, Vietnam exported over 3 million tons of rice, generating a turnover of more than $2 billion. Compared to the same period last year, the volume of rice exported increased by only 9.5%, but the turnover value surged by over 33%. In April alone, Vietnam exported over 1 million tons of rice. Since 2019, Vietnam has surpassed Thailand to become the #1 exporter of rice to the Philippines. It is predicted that the Philippines' rice imports will rise even further next year due to growing consumption. Export businesses report that Vietnamese rice, with its moderate quality, caters to the varied needs of consumers in the Philippines and appeals to all socio-economic classes, from the middle and low-income populations to the upper classes. Vietnam is increasingly welcoming many large cargo ships due to its commercial position and its development of seaport infrastructure. In the last 5 years, the number of large ships entering Vietnam's deep sea ports has increased by more than 20%, contributing $27.5 million to the budget. However, Vietnam could lose its competitive advantage if it fails to bring in enough large ships. More to follow.
The cost of transporting goods by large ships is nearly 15% cheaper compared to small ships.
Vietnamese goods can be exported directly to European and American countries faster. This is an opportunity for Vietnam to become a large transit hub in the future.
Despite the economic benefits, some Vietnamese seaports are currently facing the risk of losing revenue because channels cannot accommodate large ships.
Other maritime channels have not been allocated funds for regular dredging or have not been able to find a suitable location to dump dredged material. The planned depth of the channel is not guaranteed, therefore limiting the number of large ships entering Vietnamese seaports.
If we cannot receive large ships, for example in the Ho Chi Minh City, Baro, Vung Tau area, these large ships will go to Singapore and prices will increase.
Vietnam has about 30 sea routes directly connecting the U.S. and Europe, with an output of import and export goods of nearly 675 million tons per year. If Vietnam does not invest in upgrading infrastructure at deepwater seaports soon, the country will waste the opportunity to become an international maritime transshipment center and lose thousands of billions Vietnamese dong in revenue from maritime fees.
The government has approved the import of wind power from Laos to Vietnam. Specifically, Deputy Prime Minister Chen Hong-ha has approved the proposal from the Ministry of Industry and Trade on importing wind power from the Trường Sơn wind power plant project in Laos and investing in grid connection. The Ministry of Industry and Trade and EVN, in accordance with their assigned functions and tasks, will proactively and promptly guide and implement related work in accordance with regulations. They will also negotiate and sign power purchase contracts with investors to ensure a robust legal foundation and economic efficiency. The Trường Sơn wind power plant boasts a capacity of 250 megawatts. To adhere to the operational schedule set for the fourth quarter of next year, the project investor will finance the entire power grid connection from the factory located on Vietnamese territory using its own capital. And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam dong is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, Hanoi to reduce 61 administrative units after arrangement. And Mekong Delta strives to maintain fruit supply for export amid drought and saline intrusion. The Hanoi People's Council has approved a project to reorganize administrative units at the district and commune levels in Hanoi City for the period from 2023 to 2025. Specifically, the Council has approved the policy for arranging commune-level administrative units in 20 districts and towns across the city. After the arrangement, the number of commune-level administrative units will remain at 518. These comprise 337 communes, 160 wards, and 21 towns. This signifies a reduction of 61 units, including 46 communes and 5 wards, compared to the current configuration. The arrangement of administrative units at all levels in the city of Hanoi ensures legal compliance and is consistent with local practice. It will contribute to organizational efficiency and enhance governance effectiveness. Struggling with a severe sand shortage over the past several months, construction contractors of the major transportation projects throughout Vietnam are seeking solutions. Localities in the Mekong Delta are implementing a mechanism to share the supply of sand between regional connectivity projects, addressing the sand shortage and serving common interests.
This unit participates in a number of bidding packages for different expressway projects in the Mekong Delta region. Having difficulty purchasing sand due to high prices, it has turned to localities for sand resources shared by other construction contractors.
Thanks to the government's policy on specific sharing mechanisms, we will ask local authorities for sand resources shared by contractors from other localities.
The government issued a special mechanism in 2021 allowing some provinces to increase mining capacity by up to 50%. Simultaneously, the government will expedite planning approval to create conditions for localities to quickly increase supply.
3 sand mines in the province have been approved to commence operations. In the first quarter of 2025, we will initiate the operation of another 3 to serve the needs of road projects in the province and other localities, including the Ho Chi Minh City Ring Road 3 project.
By the first quarter of this year, the Mekong Delta provinces had mobilized 29.2 million cubic meters of sand.
Most licensed mines have moderate capacity. Increasing capacity cannot be done in a short time, it requires proper assessments. To solve this difficulty, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment coordinates closely with localities to assess the requests from contractors.
Experts emphasize that localities and contractors must strictly comply with the conditions of the special sharing mechanism. This is to increase capacity while ensuring that mining activities do not have a negative impact on riverbanks and beaches. Any excessive mining activities must be stopped if landslides occur.
Vietnam's fruit and vegetable exports flourished in the first 4 months of the year, reaching a value of over $1.8 billion. This is an increase of more than 32% compared to the same period last year. However, according to businesses, drought and climate change in the Mekong Delta have reduced the export supply of many key agricultural products and fruits by 30 to 50%. Businesses and localities are finding ways to adapt and ensure an adequate supply of agricultural products for export.
This export business has increased the purchasing of coconut and pomelo in raw material areas. It accepts high prices, long transportation, and preliminary processing time, and it negotiates with importers in foreign markets to extend delivery time.
We inform our customers that the difficulties are beyond our control, causing a delay in the delivery of export orders. We do not compromise by purchasing raw materials outside the designated area or of poor quality.
If there's no stock, you must negotiate with importers to accept smaller orders than before. With a smaller proportion of large fruits, it doesn't mean they won't purchase. The challenge is how to maintain quality.
Localities have stated that they have stored fresh water and regulated irrigation to provide enough water for production. Farmers have also proactively dug storage ponds and applied economical irrigation methods.
We have the advantage of having a local salinity-preventing sluice gate, so we have fresh water to use. I also use leaf compost to cover the tree's base to keep it cool. I also do this by maintaining a little grass in my garden.
We have partnered with businesses to create material zones. We also advised farmers to avoid the drought season and focus on other seasons. This ensures steady material supply for businesses.
The Vietnam Fruit and Vegetable Association stated fruit and vegetable exports are predicted to set a new record. They are expected to earn about 6 to 6.5 billion US dollars, growing at a rate of 15 to 20% compared to the previous year.
Đồng Tháp Province is currently home to roughly 1,800 hectares of lotus cultivation. Each year, lotus is grown in two main crops in accordance with natural conditions. The benefits that lotus plants bring to growers are many and have significantly improved people's lives. In recent years, the province has been encouraging startup projects that involve lotus products. As a result, the value of the lotus plant has increased, benefiting both farmers and businesses.
Lap is one of the first young farmers in Đồng Tháp to start a business with lotus plants. With traditional lotus varieties from the region, every day he harvests seeds and flowers to sell. After researching organic lotus growing models, he boldly transitioned his farming methods in this direction.
Growing lotus is more profitable than growing rice. Here, I grow organically, mainly using manure and fertilizer to improve the soil condition. Organic fertilizer will produce clean products.
Previously, I worked as a mason, which made life very unstable. Now I produce lotus products regularly, thus improving my family's income.
Lotus is one of the key sectors in the agricultural restructuring plan of Đồng Tháp Province, with many supporting policies. Currently, the province has over 50 OCOP products originating from lotus.
Members of the Lotus Association are trying their best to use all the parts of the lotus plant. Apart from lotus roots and seeds, we also have products made from lotus leaves and lotus flowers. These are strong products in the export market.
In addition to selling traditional lotus, farmers also earn additional income by providing spaces where tourists can experience lotus ponds. Additionally, the province will host the second Lotus Festival from May 16 to 19.
Summer is the peak season for domestic travel. With a surge in airplane tickets, recently many tourists have switched to traveling by train or driving their cars. In the first quarter of this year, the railway industry welcomed 1.68 million passengers, an increase of 13.6% over the same period. Apart from lifting pressure on the aviation industry, the rise of rail and road travel has also opened up various new tour routes.
The Hue-Da Nang train route passes through various attractions, including Hai Van Pass, Lang Co Bay, and Tiên Sa Port. The train carriages boast modern design and provide a comfortable experience to passengers.
I feel very excited and happy to be one of the first tourists on this journey.
As the demand for rail travel surges, Hanoi and Saigon railways are enjoying profits 3 times higher than the targets during the first quarter. The railway industry has put significant efforts into renewing its services to customers.
We have upgraded the carriages for high-quality trains. We also adopted a new service approach, lending full-trip chapter trains following customer requirements. In the first quarter this year, the number of carriages increased by 11%, passenger numbers increased by 14%, while revenue went up by 16% over the same period last year.
Many tourists have opted for nearby destinations with road travel. To seize this trend, tourist agencies are diversifying their car and train routes, offering customers cheaper costs to stimulate domestic traveling demand.
This trend will support businesses to overcome difficulties in transportation access. Passengers will be more likely to visit closer destinations.
In May, the number of passengers traveling by train was estimated to be 600,000, an increase of 16% over the same period. This change in travel preferences has opened up opportunities for localities to build new tourism products.
Coming up next in our world news, Russian president pays visit to China. And Lawrence Wong sworn in as new Prime Minister of Singapore. Russian President Vladimir Putin has just arrived in Beijing to embark on a trip to China at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. By choosing China for his first foreign trip since taking office, Putin has sent a message about his priorities in the coming term. According to the Kremlin, the two sides discussed a comprehensive strategic partnership, identified important areas for further practical cooperation between Russia and China, and exchanged views on pressing regional and international issues. The two leaders are expected to sign a joint statement after the talks and attend the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Putin will also meet with Chinese Premier Li Qiang and travel to the city of Harbin to attend a trade and investment fair. Lawrence Wong has officially become the fourth Prime Minister of Singapore, taking over the position from Lee Hsien Loong, who has led Singapore for the past 2 decades. The inauguration ceremony of the new Prime Minister and the new cabinet took place last Wednesday night at the Istana, the country's presidential palace in Singapore. Speaking at the live televised ceremony, Lawrence Wong took his oath of office along with 4 senior ministers, 14 ministers, and 9 state secretaries. The most notable point in the new cabinet is that the Minister of Trade and Industry, Gan Kim Yong, will hold the additional responsibility of Deputy Prime Minister alongside the current Deputy Prime Minister, Heng Swee-keat. Lawrence Wong holds the position of Finance Minister, while Lee Hsien Loong will remain in a cabinet as a senior minister. The European economy narrowly escaped a recession at the end of 2023, and since the beginning of the year, growth has remained low. The newly released economic forecast has lowered the growth forecast from 1.3 to 0.9% for the average of all 27 countries and from 1.2 to 0.8% for countries using the common euro currency. The inflation rate has decreased faster than expected and is close to the target set by the European Central Bank. The European Commission predicts inflation this year will be at 2.7% and continue to drop to 2.5% next year. Low inflation combined with real wage growth will support a rebound in consumption in the second half of 2024. Despite some encouraging signs, the European Commission remains wary of economic risks, including the phasing out of energy subsidies, along prolonged geopolitical conflicts and possible escalation in the Middle East affecting Red Sea trade routes. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.